Hey guys, welcome back to the second video in my swatch series. Today we're doing all of my blushes, both cream and powder. You guys seem to really enjoy the format of this video and the last bronzer video that I did, so I thought I would continue to do it for the rest of the categories of my makeup collection. So let's get started. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's kind of weird. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as well if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, so here's everything. It's clearly a lot more than the bronzers that I had, so I'm going to have to be a little bit quicker with this so the video doesn't end up being super long. So I'm going to start with powders and then we'll end with the cream products. Starting over here with the palettes. This was also in the bronzer video. This is the Pacifica A Light In. These are called their Radiance powders. I really enjoy this. This one's just like a really pretty soft peach color. Very matte, but I think they have nice color payoff. Next up is the Bare Minerals Bare Glow Face Palette. There is a bronzer and a highlight, but this is the shade Graceful Rose, and it's just their traditional Gen Nude blush formula. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. Really soft and pretty, sort of like that golden coral classic blush shade. Next up we have the Antonym Highlighting Blush Cheek Crush. Super shimmery blush, but it's extremely finely milled and soft, so it doesn't accentuate texture. I think the packaging is really beautiful in this as well. It almost looks like a highlight. If you have a deeper skin tone, you could definitely use this as a highlight. Very, very glowy blush, but I just think it looks gorgeous on the skin. More pricey, but do get nice packaging and a really nice formula for the price. Next up is this Thrive Cosmetics Cosmo Power Multi-Dimensional Strobing Blush in Rosy. So these are supposed to be, of course, a very glowy type of strobing blush. I like this formula. I'm just not crazy about this shade on my skin tone. It's one of those corals with golden shimmer in it. On my skin, it just looks a little bit too deep, and I don't know. These colors of blushes don't look the best on me, but if you have like medium skin, I think it looks gorgeous. Next up, we sort of have a dupe for the Antonym Highlighting Blush. This is the Found Baked Illuminator in the shade Peach Glow. I will swatch it next to it so you guys can see the difference. So as you can see, very smooth. So here's the Antonym one, and then here is the Found one. They both have the same sort of finish to them. The Found shade is just a little more pink, and the Antonym one is more peach, but I think the formula is really, really similar if you are looking for a dupe. Then down here we have one of my favorite blushes. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in the shade Mood Exposure. Really pretty, unique shade. So far I feel like all the swatches are peachy. This one's definitely more of a mauve type of blush. Super soft shimmer to it. Not sure if you can see that, but this is just such a gorgeous blush shade. I use this all the time. It's in my everyday makeup drawer. Next up we have the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blushes. I have all 4 shades. I will swatch every single one. These are a really interesting bouncy texture. They're sort of like a cream powder hybrid. They do actually smooth your cheeks and make them look really just healthy looking. I think these are so interesting and I really love the formula on these. This first shade is Mauve Sunrise. They feel so, like, they feel wet when you touch them. It's really like indescribable. Really cool formula. So there is Mauve Sunrise, and you can apply these with like a brush or a sponge because they're sort of a hybrid formula. There's a lot of different ways to use them. This is Pink Sky. Pink Sky has a little bit more of a shimmer to it. It's like a very bright pink. Next up we have Coral Cloud, which is more on that true orange side. It's a very orange coral. I think it's a gorgeous blush. I love more orange tone blushes. And then last but not least, I think this is like the most talked about shade. It's Blurred Bluff. This is like nude blush lover's dream right here. This is the one I use the most. It's almost like a bronzer. Like, you could probably use this as a bronzer if you're fair enough. So pretty. It's just a really unique subdued type of blush shade if you don't want like a really pink cheek but you do want some color. Love this. Next in line is the Beauty Counter Satin Powder Blush in the shade Melon. This formula is okay. I'm not crazy about this shade. Very bright pink, but instead of having a traditional golden shimmer, it has like a silvery finish to it, which I think is more flattering on my skin. I don't really reach for this a lot, even though I think it's pretty nice. I don't know, doesn't excite me. And next up is all of the PYT Beauty blushes. The first shade I have here is the shade Exhale, which is very, very soft baby pink shade. It barely shows up, so you really have to build the color. This would be nice if you have very fair skin and you just want a light dusting of color. I think this is really pretty for that. And then the next one is the shade Head Rush, which is a coral with a lot of golden shimmer through it. This isn't my favorite shade because, as I mentioned, those corals with golden is just not that flatter on me. I feel like the shimmer on this is really chunky as well. It's just not the smoothest shimmer. So that's probably my least favorite shade. And then my absolute favorite shade out of the three is the shade Hustle. If you do try one, I would totally recommend this. I do think these are really nice powder blush formula. They're a little bit on the drier side, but I feel like they blend just fine. I don't have any problems with them. The shade Exhale is so stunning. It's this really hard to describe. It's sort of similar to the Bare Minerals, the nude one, where it's just got this beautiful hue to it that's really flattering. And next up is a Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Cheek to Chic Swish and Pop blusher in the shade Ecstasy. This did break on me, so I had to repress it. It's usually like has a different color in the middle and then a surrounding edge, but it's sort of just all one blush shade at this point. So if you do have this blush and mix them together, this would be the shade. This is a really pretty classic pink, and I can't really tell what type of shimmer is through it. It's so finely milled. It's definitely not like overtly golden. It just looks like, no, like a more silvery. Really hard to tell, but I think the shade's pretty. Next is the Alima Pure Satin Matte Blush in the shade Apricot. This is one of their loose powder blushes. I feel like this is gonna last. Oh my gosh, I made a mess. Literally a lifetime. Clearly more messy because it is a loose formula. This blush I actually really like. It's a pretty orange, but it's muted enough that it doesn't really take over your whole makeup look. I should probably close this. Really gorgeous. I like to use this in the summer for a pop. Next is the RMS Beauty Pressed Blush in the shade Lost Angel. Comes in this like rectangular packaging. This, I don't know. I kind of regret buying this because it's that coral with a golden shimmer through it, and I know I don't really like those shades. I don't really know why I chose this shade. The formula is nice. It has a lot of golden shimmer through it. It's not really that chunky though. This is like a decent powder formula. I don't know. I'm not crazy about this though. Next up, I have two of the Han Cosmetics pressed blushes. First is the shade Baby Pink, which is really similar to the PYT one. Wow, that was actually really pigmented. Similar to the PYT one, I think this one has a little bit of a cooler tone to it. These are really sheer, so they're a buildable blush. You can barely see that shows up on my skin. And this other shade is Coral Candy, which is cracked a little bit. Another one of those classic hot pink shades with golden sheen through it. They're kind of swatched weird. These are a really interesting formula. They're like super sheer, so you really have to like build them up to get color, but I feel like on the cheeks it doesn't work that way. I don't know, hopefully you can see that. Next is just this mini size of a Bare Minerals Gen Nude Blush in the shade Pink Me Up. This is another one of your classic bright pink blushes. Not a ton of shimmer through it, so I think it's a really wearable blush shade. Then I have a loose Bare Minerals blush in the shade Beauty. I don't think I've honestly even ever used this. Let's swatch it. This is more of that cool tone pink, a little bit more of a sheer formula with a little bit of a sheen to it. I don't think I've ever used that. Maybe I should put it in my makeup drawer so I use it. I think these are my last two. I have three more powder formulas. This is the Cover FX Monochromatic Blush Duo in the shade Soft Peach. I did a video on Cover FX. This is a really stunning blush formula. I love to mix these. They're really gorgeous on their own as well. Super pigmented and just really soft and blendable, flawless formula. And I think the packaging is cute on these. Next is the Kosas Papaya 1972 Color and Light Pressed. Accidentally dug my nail on that. RIP to that. this blush shade, I find these are a little powdery. They are super stunning and really pigmented. So I think this is a gorgeous peach shade. It's just not my favorite tone on my skin tone. I might have to pick up like another shade. And then I guess I'll swatch this highlight too. This is just a little too dark for my skin tone, but these are really soft, finely milled powders, like super buttery. The last powder blush I have is the Patrick Ta Monochromatic Moment She's Seductive Blush. This is one of my most recent blushes. This is so stunning. I love this shade. I've been really into those more like mauve blushes. I think this packaging is really pretty. And this is, sure, my hand's dry. This isn't like a super pigmented blush, which I don't mind. It's really buildable and smooth, and it doesn't look like it has like a sheen to it in the pan. It looks matte, but on the skin it has the most gorgeous like silvery beigey type of glow. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's really flattering and I've been enjoying this a lot. All right, onto the cream blushes. This is the Ilia Summer Essentials Face Palette. I'm not even sure if they sell this anymore, but it has shades, I believe, of their multi-stick. So it comes with three blush shades, I guess. I'll swatch all of them. So this one is that shade, the middle one is this one, and then the one all the way over here is this like brighter pink. I don't really use these a ton, like I mentioned in the bronzer video. I just don't reach for this type of cream formula, but I think they're nice. Next, I have these Tower 28. These are called their Beach Please blushes, lip and cheek colors. I have all three shades. I've been loving these lately. They do have a clear one as well. I have that, but I wasn't going to swatch it because it's clear. Obviously, they just launched at Sephora. This one has been my favorite. I just mentioned it in my January roundup video, but let me go ahead and swatch them. This is the shade Golden Hour. Super pigmented and smooth. These last a really long time. They last all day on the cheeks without fading, which I think is impressive for this type of like more glowy cream blush. I just am obsessed with these at the moment. This is the shade Happy Hour. And last but not least is Magic Hour, which is my favorite. Just that really gorgeous nude pink. I think all these would be really flattering for a lot of different skin tones. They're very bright, but they're easy to make sort of dim them down. I like to apply these with a sponge and they go nicely over powder. Nothing weird happens with them, and they're so cute and on the more affordable side as well. I think these are 20 bucks each. Next up we have the Physicians Formula Dewy Blush Elixirs. These are a liquid blush. These I don't use a lot. I feel like they're just a little bit too oily on my skin. I've heard some other people say it as well. It's just like if you have oily skin, I don't think these would work for you. They just really sit on top of the skin and they're super glowy. So if you do use a little bit and you have drier skin, I think you would enjoy this, but personally, I don't reach for these a ton. This is the shade Gorgeous Peach, and that one is Apricot Glow. And now we have Crushed Berries. Okay, there we go. Ooh, this one's so pretty. This is, what did I say, Crushed Berries? I might have to pull that one out and try to use it. And the last one we have here is Pink Berry. This is also one I haven't opened yet. Ooh, this one's so pretty too. This is like a light baby pink. It would be perfect if you have fairer skin. I feel like it's not very accurate to what the bottle shows. Definitely not as like cool toned as this looks. Very pretty. What is next? Alright, I will go ahead and swatch the two Ilia Color Haze Multi-Matte pigments that I have. I really like these. They're a more of a matte formula while still being like a cream. This is the shade, did I just say the shade? I don't remember. This is the shade Temptation. It's sort of just like that true pink neutral tone. I've used this a ton in the summer, got a lot of use out of it. These do stay all day on the cheeks. They don't disrupt foundation or anything. This is the shade Sing, which is like a deeper berry. Gorgeous if you have like a deeper skin tone. On me, I have to be so light-handed with this or else it can just look like a little bit much because they are really pigmented. I don't really understand this applicator, but it's nice nonetheless. And then I have one cloud paint from Glossier. This is the shade Puff. Jessie, who I mentioned in my January video, sent this to me. She was so sweet. I was really excited to try this. And I was impressed with this. Honestly, I thought it wouldn't work well over like powder because I feel like Glossier is very like it's like a very dewy makeup brand, but the shade Puff I think is perfect. It shears out really well and sits nicely on top of my foundation. And I think it's just that like nice, true, natural flush on me. And yeah, if you do like these, let me know what your favorite shade is. I have 3 of the Lila B. These are their Divine Duo Lip and Cheek, so you can use these on your lips or your cheeks. This is the shade Be Real, which is a more muted, warmer tone pink. I think this one is my favorite. It's also the first one I ever got, which is Be Lovely. Really pretty, more beigey pink. And then we have Super Bright Shade, which I have used before. I just have to be very, very light herring. I have to be a light herring fish. No, I have to be very light-handed. This is a super bright coral. If you have a deeper skin tone, you could totally rock that. Next we have the Juice Beauty cream blushes. I've talked about this before. Really love the formula. I have the shade here, Orange Blossom, which is a orange blossom shade. This one isn't my favorite out of the 2. This one definitely is because it's just that perfect nude. Very similar to like all my other favorite shades. Just almost looks like a bronzer. Really pretty, flattering tone. Doesn't get too poppy on the cheeks, if that makes sense. These stay all day. They add a glow to your cheeks, but they don't wear off or get oily or anything like that. So I really love these and recommend them. And then I have 2 of the Ilia. These are just their multi-sticks. This one is the shade At Last. I don't really use these a ton because I don't like the stick formula because I use blushes on top of powder. So I have to like put these on my hand and then pick them up with a brush. But if you're more of like that grab and go makeup, ooh, that shade's really pretty. That's the shade Ladybird. I think you would really like these. Let's compare that to Flush. I feel like it's similar. All right, I don't know when my camera cut out, but this is the Last Looks Cream Blush. I swatched it next to Ladybird to compare the tones a little bit since they were similar. That is the Han Cosmetics Rose Dust Natural Multi-Stick. Again, not a formula I reach for because I just don't prefer a stick. Just took some warming up. Probably because I had wipe residue on my hand. I think the shade is actually so pretty. It leans on like that more purpley side without being, I don't know, too cool toned. I think it's just a really flattering shade. These are super creamy. Might have to pull that out and use it in a upcoming look or something because I really like that. Next up I have a Well People. This is a cream blush in the shade Nudist. This is like a stiffer formula. Like with all these you really have to warm them up. Definitely more orange, warmy if you like that type of vibe. A little bit of a sheen to it. It's not a golden sheen though. It kind of just looks like a silvery white shimmer. Next up I have these 2 from Habit. These are just called their multi-use cream colors. I really love the shade called Pretty Baby. These are a little bit more sheer, but you can definitely build them up and they're very glowy blushes, like an oil-based type of product. And then this shade is called Mod Squad, which is really gorgeous as well. Very pigmented, medium to deeper skin tones. I think this would be a really gorgeous shade for you. A little bit too dark for me personally though. All right, I went ahead and just went back through everything and picked out my favorites just to show you guys them again. Clearly, I like a very specific tone of blush. I think they're just the most flattering on my skin tone. So again, one of my favorites, PYT Heartbeat Cheek Color in the shade Hustle. More affordable type of blush. I just really like the tone of this. I feel like I'm gonna say that for everything, but I think I'm gonna swatch these all next to each other so you guys can kind of see what they look like. So there's the Cover FX Peach Duo. I layered them so you can see what they look like together. And then there's the Bare Minerals Blurred Buff, which is probably the most orangey type of borderline bronzer shade that I like. Then we have the Patrick Ta shade over here, which is more of a mauve. And then find a clean finger. The Hourglass one, which is similar to the Patrick Ta one, just a little bit more pigmented, but they both have that glow to them. Then the Juice Beauty Cream Blush in Flush. These all look very similar now that I'm swatching them. I feel like this one is the most similar to the Bare Minerals Blurred Buff. And then last but not least, the Tower 28 in Magic Hour, which I feel like is the most pink. Alright guys, those were all of my blush swatches. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful and enjoyed it, so I know to do more of these. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already as well. We are almost to 10K. I'd love for you to join me, but but anyway, yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video.